Much of the DOJ report covered things we've already heard, like that delay and communication problems among first responders. But there are some new details. Investigator Dalton Huey has been scouring through the report. What did you learn?
So yes, like you said, there was a lot of information in there that we were previously aware of. But there were a lot of details that were associated with not just the incident, but the minutes, days, months afterwards that ultimately have continued to be problematic today.
You've posted a lot of those details online in your story. Can you tell us about some of the key points that you focused on?
Yeah, so we focused on the failure to set up a incident command center. It was emphasized a lot in the report. It talked about the fact that there was just no leadership there that was taking action like they should have been, citing actually 2 of the officers' leadership positions who had the training necessary to do it, and they just didn't. On top of that, we focused on the crime scene, being contained and being established the way it should have been to prevent any contamination of the evidence. That didn't necessarily happen on the crime scene in the school, or did it happen outside? The FBI offered their assistance to DPS and they refused. As a result of that, a large storm came in. The evidence was not maintained properly, and it contaminated all of that evidence, and it cited weapons, ammunition, personal materials that were all lost as evidence to the crime. And then in addition to that, we talked about the impact that the families of the victims had and how they were treated afterwards. It took 4 days for there to be any Spanish communications to them in the first place. The report even cited the FBI at fault at one point because the child victim interviewees had no cultural connection to the children, which is by protocol supposed to be happening. And so there were several things that it cited could have and likely will cause additional emotional distress for these families.
Yeah, I can imagine it was difficult with the Spanish language thing, especially because that community has so many primarily Spanish speakers as their first language. What else stuck out to you in the report?
So really, the fact that FBI offered assistance with the evidence is one thing. This wasn't the first time it happened. The FBI also offered assistance when they were notifying families of the deceased children. The FBI was trained in it. DPS was not. DPS still refused their help. On top of that, today investigations are still on hold. Federal agencies, local agencies in Uvalde are not able to conduct their investigations because DPS is simply not cooperating with them, given that they are the holders of all the evidence. It in quote says they won't share it.
I know this was a lot to dig through, hundreds of pages, so much more in your article, so we will be sure to check that out online. Thanks, Dalton.
Thank you.